Welcome back for another deep dive. Today we are going to be attempting something kind of different.
Oh?
We're going to try to really get inside the mind of a silent killer.
Sounds scary.
Our source material is going to be excerpts from the psychological thriller,
Okay.
The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah?
So this novel centers around this woman named Alicia Berenson.
Okay.
She's a famous painter, and she shocks everybody
Ugh.
by shooting her husband, Gabriel,
Oh, my God.
5 times in the face.
Wow.
And then just clams up completely and refuses to speak.
Oh, that's crazy.
Our mission today is to try to understand why.
That's a fascinating premise, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, the book unfolds through these two kind of main perspectives. We have Alicia's personal diary entries leading up to this event.
Yeah.
And then the observations of her psychotherapist,
Right.
Theo Faber, who is just like completely determined to break her silence.
Sounds like we are in for a real psychological puzzle here.
Oh, yeah.
So where do we even begin to unpack all of this?
Well, the diary entries initially portray Alicia as being like super in love with Gabriel.
Okay.
She refers to him as like the love of her life and all of that.
Yeah.
Their life together seems pretty idyllic at first. However, cracks begin to show as we kind of delve deeper.
Oh, boy.
She talks about this really tragic event in her past, the death of her mother in a car accident when she was young.
Oh, that must have been incredibly difficult for her.
Yeah.
I mean, losing a parent at such a young age can have such a profound impact on you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, her father is obviously consumed by grief.
Understandably.
Yeah, and he ends up uttering these words to her that just wound her so deeply. He tells her that he wishes it had been her who died in the accident.
Oh, my God. That's just awful.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And, I can only imagine what that must have done to her psyche.
Yeah, those words leave a lasting scar on her.
It's no wonder she struggles with mental health.
Right.
The book mentions that she even expressed suicidal thoughts during therapy sessions
Yeah.
with this previous therapist named Ruth.
Right, and it's through her art that she finds solace.
Okay.
Painting becomes like her outlet, her way to express those emotions she can't put into words.
Yeah, I can see that.
Interestingly, though, she was initially really reluctant to paint Gabriel.
That's interesting. Why is that? I mean, you'd think she would want to capture the image of the man that she loves.
There's this sense that maybe she was apprehensive about what she might discover.
Oh.
It's as if she intuitively understood that by scrutinizing him through her art.
Interesting.
She might reveal something that she wasn't ready to face.
Okay.
Eventually, though, he does agree to sit for her. And this is where things take
Yeah.
an interesting turn.
Okay, so we have Alicia struggling with this past trauma and expressing herself through her art. Then we have Theo, this new psychotherapist at the psychiatric facility where she's being held, which is called the Grove.
Right.
And he enters the picture seemingly determined to uncover the secrets
Yeah.
behind her silence.
He seems so convinced that the key to unlocking her silence lies in really understanding her psychological state.
Right.
So he observes her in these group therapy sessions,
Okay.
and he's immediately struck by how heavily medicated she is.
Oh.
Like to the point where she almost appears catatonic.
Yeah.
And he starts to believe that reducing her medication might be the key to breaking through to her.
Oh, that sounds risky,
It is.
especially given her history of mental health issues.
Right. He faces resistance from the head psychiatrist Diomedes and another Dr. Christian, who are much more cautious
Okay.
in their approach.
Makes you wonder if their concern is really for Alicia's well-being
Right.
or if there's something else at play here.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
This difference in opinion really highlights those ethical dilemmas that are often faced
Absolutely.
in mental health treatment.
Yeah. So Theo is trying to understand Alicia,
Yeah.
but he's also interacting with other patients at the Grove as well.
He encounters quite a range of personalities.
Oh, I bet.
There's Elif, who is openly hostile towards him and gives him these really cryptic warnings.
Oh, wow.
And then there's Barbie, who staunchly believes in Alicia's innocence,
Oh, interesting.
which adds another layer of intrigue to
Yeah.
the whole story.
Theo seems to be a pretty determined character.
Oh, he is.
The book mentions that he even goes as far as visiting Alicia's family without authorization,
Yeah, without
hoping to uncover clues about her past.
Right.
They call him flawed but well-intentioned, and I'm already starting to see why.
That unauthorized visit really reveals a lot about his personality.
I bet.
He's clearly driven by this need to help Alicia,
Okay.
but he's also crossing boundaries
Yeah.
and potentially jeopardizing his own career in the process.
Wow.
This is where we start to see glimpses of his own past,
Yep.
like a difficult childhood, a past struggle with marijuana addiction,
Oh, wow.
and a complex relationship with a woman named Kathy.
Okay.
So, yeah, his past experiences are definitely influencing
Yeah.
his approach to Alicia's case.
He seems to be projecting his own need for redemption onto her.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Do you think this will hinder his ability to actually truly understand
Right.
her situation?
That's an excellent question.
I think so.
I think his determination to save her might actually blind him to the possibility that she might not actually want to be saved.
Right.
Or that her truth might be far more complicated than he imagines.
Yeah.
Speaking of complicated,
Okay.
the story takes another turn when the focus shifts back to Alicia
Mm-hmm.
and those events leading up to the night of the murder.
Okay.
Her diary entries reveal this growing sense of paranoia and fear.
Oh, boy.
She describes this feeling of being watched, stalked.
No.
She even mentions seeing this mysterious man lurking outside her house, which just like heightens her anxiety and really adds this sense of dread to the narrative.
So we have Alicia's internal world crumbling under the weight of her past and this growing sense of threat. And we have Theo, driven by his own demons, determined to uncover the truth behind her silence.
Absolutely.
Where do we go from here?
This brings us to a particularly unsettling aspect of the story.
Uh-oh.
Alicia's art.
Okay.
Her paintings, particularly those created after Gabriel agrees to sit for her, begin to take on this darker, more disturbing tone.
Okay.
One painting in particular really stands out.
Okay.
It's a portrait of Gabriel, depicted as a crucified Jesus, holding not a cross, but a rifle.
That's a choice.
It is.
I mean, what could that possibly symbolize? It's a jarring juxtaposition of religious imagery and violence. I am dying to know what you make of this.
This is where it gets really interesting. The painting could be interpreted in so many ways.
Okay.
Is it a reflection of her subconscious feelings towards Gabriel? Does she see him as both a savior and a tormentor?
That's a good point.
Or is it a foreshadowing of the violence to come? A symbolic representation of her own internal struggle.
Yeah, those are all great points.
Yeah, it's a chilling image, isn't it? The crucified Gabriel with a rifle.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes about the turmoil in Alicia's mind.
Definitely.
And remember, this painting is just one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
She creates other unsettling pieces, like the self-portrait titled Alcestis.
Right, I remember that one.
Yeah, which depicts Alicia naked in her studio, standing before this blank canvas with this really haunting, unreadable expression on her face.
You mentioned that her art gallery owner friend, Jean-Felix, showed Theo this painting.
Right.
And he seemed to think it held some kind of key to understanding her.
He practically dared Theo to read this Greek play, Alcestis, by Euripides, to really understand it.
Oh, wow.
And it's a fascinating parallel.
Yeah.
The play centers around this woman who sacrifices herself to save her husband from death.
Okay.
And when she's brought back to life, she remains silent, unwilling or unable to speak about her experience.
So is Alicia identifying with Alcestis then?
It's possible.
Is she also a silent, sacrificial figure trapped in a situation
That's a compelling theory.
where she feels powerless?
And remember, Alicia's art is full of these like symbolic details.
Yeah.
Even the seemingly insignificant bowl of fruit in the Alcestis painting, apples and pears, becomes really significant later on.
Oh, really? How so?
Remember when Alicia choked Theo?
I do, yeah.
Well, he notices this pear on his desk afterward, as if it was intentionally left there by her.
Oh, wow.
It's like a breadcrumb from the painting linking her to the attack.
Okay, so we have this parallel between Alicia and Alcestis, both silent figures, both possibly linked to violence.
Right.
But what does it all mean? Is she trying to tell us something?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
Theo grapples with this constantly. He believes there's a message hidden within her silence, her art, her actions.
Right.
This truth that she's just desperate to convey but can't.
And then, in a dramatic turn of events, Alicia breaks her silence.
Exactly. During an intense therapy session, after Theo helps her unpack the trauma of her father's words, she utters her first words in 6 years.
Wow.
It's a simple question. What? What?
Okay.
But it signifies a monumental shift in the narrative.
It must have been a pretty powerful moment for both of them.
Absolutely. For Theo, it's a validation of his methods.
Okay.
A confirmation that he's on the right track. But it also fuels his savior complex.
Right.
That belief that he's the only one who can truly understand and help her.
So does this breakthrough actually bring them closer to the truth? Or does it lead them further down a rabbit hole of deception and manipulation?
That's the beauty of this psychological thriller.
Right.
Nothing is as it seems. As Alicia starts to open up, her account of the night of the murder starts to unravel, revealing these inconsistencies and really raising more questions than answers.
Why?
For example, she initially claimed she never told anyone about the stalker before the murder.
Right.
But Theo knows this isn't true. He read it in her diary.
Right.
She confided in Barbie about the stalker.
Yeah.
And even showed her a photo of the man.
Right.
This discrepancy casts doubt on her reliability as a narrator.
Yeah, for sure.
Is she deliberately withholding information?
It makes you wonder.
Or is her memory fragmented, distorted by trauma? And then there's the whole incident with the medication.
Right.
Christian had reduced her dosage, believing it would help her engage in therapy.
Okay.
But after her outburst and subsequent medical crisis, everyone assumes she attempted suicide.
Oh.
But what if that wasn't the case?
What do you mean?
What if someone was tampering with her medication?
Oh, wow.
Pushing her towards a breakdown?
That's a chilling thought.
It is. It adds another layer of complexity to the mystery.
Theo certainly seems to think something is amiss.
Oh.
He becomes increasingly suspicious of Christian, accusing him of withholding crucial information.
And his suspicions are confirmed when he discovers that Christian had actually treated Alicia in private practice for years before she was admitted to the Grove.
Wow.
He knew about her history of paranoia, her volatile nature, but deliberately kept this information hidden, both from the court during her trial and from the staff of the Grove.
So we have a possible cover-up, an unreliable narrator, and a psychotherapist with a savior complex who might be in over his head.
It's a mess.
Where do we even go from here?
Remember that unauthorized visit Theo paid to Alicia's family?
Yes.
This is where things take another unexpected turn. He learns from Alicia's cousin Paul that Max, her brother, had been in deep financial trouble, and that Alicia had refused to help him.
That directly contradicts what Max had told Theo earlier.
Exactly.
He claimed he hadn't seen Alicia in years and that she wanted nothing to do with him.
Right. This discrepancy fuels Theo's suspicion that Max, desperate for money, might have had a motive to harm Gabriel.
Right.
But he's still missing a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, what is it? What's the missing piece?
It's a conversation Theo has with Paul about Alicia's childhood.
Okay.
Paul reveals that on the night of the car accident that killed Alicia's mother, he overheard their father say something truly devastating.
Oh, no.
He told Alicia that he wished it had been her who died instead of her mother.
Oh, my God. That's just horrific.
It is.
Those words must have shattered her sense of self-worth.
Absolutely.
To have your own father express such a sentiment.
Right.
It's a form of emotional annihilation.
Precisely. Theo, realizing the gravity of this revelation, tries to use it to connect with Alicia. To help her process this buried trauma. He even shares his own experiences of childhood abandonment, attempting to forge this bond of shared pain.
His intentions might be good, but that sounds incredibly unprofessional.
It is.
Is he blurring the lines between therapist and patient?
He is. And this blurring of boundaries will have significant consequences.
Oh, no.
Alicia, prompted by Theo's revelation, starts to recount the events of the night of the murder in detail.
Okay.
She describes the masked intruder, the chilling details of being bound and threatened.
Oh, gosh.
But there's one detail she reveals that sends chills down your spine.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. What is it?
She mentions that the intruder kept repeating that Gabriel was a coward.
Okay.
That he'd destroyed the only happiness he'd ever known.
Those words sound eerily familiar.
Don't they?
They do.
Remember Theo's rant to Ruth about Kathy's infidelity?
Oh, yeah.
How he felt betrayed, his happiness shattered.
Oh, my God.
It's like a giant alarm bell going off in the reader's mind.
Yeah.
Could Theo, driven by his own pain and rage, be the masked intruder?
Oh, my gosh.
Could he be projecting his own experience of betrayal and heartbreak onto Alicia's situation?
This deep dive just took a dark and twisted turn. I am completely hooked now. We're left wondering, is Alicia a victim, a manipulator, or both? And is Theo the savior, the villain, or is the truth far more complex than we could have imagined?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it really does make you stop and think, doesn't it? That the person who is supposed to be helping you heal might actually be the source of your trauma.
It really, totally reframes everything we thought we knew about the story.
Yeah, it does.
We've been so caught up in Theo's perspective, his determination to uncover the truth, that we kind of overlooked the possibility that he might be the one manipulating things all along.
Yeah, it makes you question everything he's told us.
Right.
If he's capable of that kind of deception.
Yeah.
How can we be sure that anything he said is reliable?
It raises questions about the nature of therapy itself.
Yeah.
Like, how do we truly know what's going on in someone's mind, and how much can we trust those who claim to have the answers?
Right. Let's go back to that final confrontation between Theo and Alicia.
Okay.
She reveals everything and then stops abruptly and says there's one last thing she needs to tell him.
It's such a classic cliffhanger.
It is.
Leaving the reader in suspense.
Totally. And the author is clever because he doesn't tell us what she says right away.
Right.
Instead, we follow Theo as he rushes to Diomedes, practically bursting with excitement about Alicia's breakthrough.
But Diomedes urges caution as always.
Right.
He's not entirely convinced that Alicia's being truthful.
Okay.
He even suggests that she might be manipulating Theo.
Oh.
Playing on his desire to be her savior.
His skepticism is interesting.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
He points out that Theo is deeply invested in this case, perhaps even blinded by his own need to fix Alicia.
And Theo just dismisses Diomedes' concerns completely, doesn't he? He's so convinced that he's finally unlocked the mystery that he's immune to her charms.
Totally.
But his actions betray his words.
Yeah, they do.
He becomes increasingly reckless.
He does.
Defying Diomedes' orders and even stealing medication from the hospital to give to her.
Wow.
He's putting his entire career at risk. It's like he's become addicted to her case.
Yeah.
Obsessed with being the one to save her.
And remember, he's also struggling with his own demons, too.
Right.
He's relapsed and started smoking marijuana again.
Oh.
He's haunted by the memory of Kathy's infidelity and consumed by this need to find out who her lover was.
It's like his own unresolved issues are feeding into his obsession with Alicia's case, creating this really dangerous spiral.
Exactly. He becomes fixated on finding Kathy's lover.
Oh.
Stalking him, even contemplating attacking him.
His behavior is mirroring the very actions of the stalker he's trying to protect her from.
Right.
It's incredibly disturbing.
And then comes that pivotal revelation.
Yeah.
Driven by this desperate need to uncover the truth.
Okay.
He confronts Paul again, demanding to know how Max got the money he needed.
And Paul finally cracks.
He does.
Admitting that it was actually Alicia who gave Max the money?
Yeah.
This directly contradicts her claim that she wanted nothing to do with him.
Exactly. It makes you wonder if she's been lying all along. It does. Is she the mastermind behind everything? Or is she protecting someone? Maybe even Paul himself.
That's a good question. And then we see that flashback to the night of the murder.
Yes.
Theo, after learning the truth about Max, rushes back to London.
Okay.
He can't reach Kathy and becomes convinced that she's with her lover.
Right.
He goes to her rehearsal space and sees her on the phone, ending the call with, "I love you too."
The realization hits him like a ton of bricks.
Oh, yeah.
It triggers this cascade of emotions.
Oh, I bet.
Jealousy, rage, a sense of betrayal.
Yeah.
And in that moment, fueled by his own unresolved pain, he snaps.
He breaks into Alicia's house wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Ties her up.
Right.
And forces Gabriel to admit his infidelity.
And then he turns to Alicia.
Oh, God.
Uttering those chilling words.
What does he say?
Now that you know the truth, you'd be better off dead.
Those words mirror the trauma of her childhood.
They do.
Her father's rejection. It's the ultimate trigger pushing her over the edge.
As Theo is leaving, she picks up the gun he dropped and shoots Gabriel.
It's a moment of both clarity and madness.
It is.
She realizes that the man who threatened her, the man who invaded her home and shattered her world, is the same man who claimed to want to help her.
And in that moment, she chooses silence.
But her silence is far from passive.
It's not.
It's a calculated act, a way to protect herself and trap Theo. Remember that final scene?
Yes.
Theo visits Alicia in the hospital after her suicide attempt and discovers her diary. He reads the final entry, a chilling account of his own actions.
Right.
His threats, his confession.
But there's one detail that wasn't there before.
What's that?
The diary entry mentions a needle, a drug.
Oh, wow.
Alicia, aware of Theo's true identity, has framed him.
Oh, my gosh.
She's added that incriminating detail.
Wow.
Implicating him in her suicide attempt.
It's a brilliant and devastating act of revenge.
It is.
She's used her silence as a weapon, turning the tables on her tormentor.
The book ends with Theo trapped facing the consequences of his actions.
Wow.
It's a chilling reminder that sometimes silence can be the most powerful weapon of all.
It really is. This story leaves us with so much to ponder.
It does.
It's a tale about the complexities of truth and memory, the destructive power of obsession, and the ways in which our past can really shape our present.
Absolutely.
If Alicia had never broken her silence, would the truth ever have come out?
That's a good question.
Was her silence a form of weakness or ultimately her greatest strength?
Right.
These are questions for you to consider as you navigate the complex world of the silent patient.
And that is it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.